Hey, it's Nikki Glazer. If I was at the store and I saw a guy throw down Trojan Ecstasy Ultra Ribbed condoms on the counter, I'd be like, "Hi, I'm Nikki. Do you like me?" Boring condoms are a thing of the past. As a girl who can run a little dry sometimes, even when I'm super horned up, I would appreciate a Trojan Ecstasy Ultra Ribbed condom because they have ultra smooth premium lubricant inside and out for a more natural feel. So I don't have to feel insecure like, "Oh, I'm not wet enough." And they have extra deep ribs at the base and end to increase stimulation. So, he thought of me. And the comfort shape allows free movement for a more natural experience. Feel your best. Get yours on.
Welcome to Scary Time by Indie Drop-In Network. Each week we feature an episode from the best independent creators. Subscribe for great scary content. If you would like to help Indie Drop-In support indie creators, you can buy us a coffee. Just go to buymeacoffee.com/indie drop-in or click the link in the show notes below. Today's episode is from Family Plot. Dean, Laura, and their daughter discuss odd history, strange true crime, weird folklore, and all things paranormal. If you like this episode from Family Plot, make sure to check out the show notes for links to subscribe and follow on social media. Enjoy the show.
Begin.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Dean. I'm the dad.
I'm Laura. I'm the mom. I'm Crystal. I'm the daughter.
And together, we are
Family Plot.
the three-headed beast that comes from the East. Okay, that works, except that we're from the Midwest, and there's two girls and a guy, and the girls are beautiful, so it doesn't quite work, but it's a thought I had.
Oh, okay. Well, work on it, and we'll come back to that.
Yes, I will work on it, and we will come back to it, because that is what we do. Well, welcome to another edition of Family Plot, episode 28. Now, in case you missed the various places I posted it, we were supposed to do the Warnell House, the James Warnell House here in Kansas City, a haunted location. We changed our minds. Now, we're still going to do the James Warnell House, just not this episode. It's been pushed back a ways. Instead, what we're going to do is what I'm calling internet legends. Stories close enough to be true that you can't really tell.
Okay, but I have to jump in here because I'm Laura and I'm the mom. And as the mom, I need to say, before we jump too far into this rabbit hole, as you tend to do, my love, I'm just saying, I'm getting the look, people. I am getting the look.
Are we calling each other out?
I'm calling your dad out just a little bit. Just a little bit. But before we go too far into this, we just want to say that we like our listeners. Most of your friends, family, or, we consider you that at least. Don't do anything dumb. And, put yourself in harm's way. Because people start jumping into these legends and spooky things and stupid things happen when you're bored and stuck in the house with COVID. But we just want all of our listeners to stay safe.
Yeah. I feel like Delissa told me a story about when she had
We don't want to talk about what your sister's done. Again, we want people to stay safe.
Yeah.
And I have taken the liberty on most of these stories of removing the details that would allow you to reproduce them. Because while there is certainly some argument as to the reality of any of what we talk about, just in case, I say safety is better than sorry. And so that's where I'm going to land. And obviously that's where we're going to land. So that's really the beginning of this story. Is where we need to begin, is that we have gone out of our way to keep you safe. If you insist on doing something stupid, yes, there are all sorts of things out there in the world that you can do. But primarily,
we just want to talk about these topics. We're not trying to encourage anyone to do anything that would cause them to be unsafe.
Exactly. And I apologize for the sound in case it gets left in, because my phone was connected to my laptop and I just unconnected it.
Not okay.
So there we go. All right. So
I love you, but no.
We've started the beginning of the show. Now, as I said, what we're going to focus on is what I'm calling internet urban legends. And let me give you a brief introduction. Some of these are old. Some of these are only as old as the internet at most. So the veracity of some of these certainly can be argued. But they fascinate me for various reasons. And so that is why we have chosen to do them. And I say we, but really I was like, ooh, I want to do this. And then I asked Laura and Krysta, and they said, okay. So that's the way it works, is that I decide I want to do something. I ask them, they tell me I can or I can't.
And sometimes it's just better safety precaution that you don't let me tell you what you can or can't do.
Well, so we have about 4 or 5 legends, and they're tied, in fact, to other things that we will eventually talk more about. But for now, I just wanted to focus on the legends themselves. They have a wonderfully creepy flavor. They're perfect for dark rooms, dark nights, and scary stories. But there's just enough truth in them to make me worry. And so I will not be giving out details to certain ones, because I don't want to have any part of the responsibility of what happens to one of our dear listeners if they do something they shouldn't. So I've taken all I can to prevent that from happening. So that being said, we're going to start, but I think before we get all spooky, we should bring in the light a little bit. And to do that, I think Krysta needs to tell us her facts, because I think her facts are going to be lighter and happier, and in some cases more pastel.
Oh yeah.
I like how
I liked that one. I liked that one.
So here they come, her facts.
All right. Number 1.
Hey, you didn't tell him tonight what the facts are on.
It's actually about crayons.
Which is why the pastel thing was such a clever bit.
Uh-huh.
We'll let you go with that answer right now, babe.
Number 1. The first crayon box was sold for a nickel.
That 1 nickel, though.
I'm going to guess that was probably like 1890 or something like that.
Don't know, it doesn't tell me here.
Okay.
Did you see where it was sold, though?
Nope. Didn't tell me that either.
Okay. What's your next fact?
Number 2, crayon labels were once applied by hand. Now that they have factories, they don't have to do that anymore. But
wow,
all those crayons, yep, those were once had their wrappers applied with the hand. So
wow.
I remember when crayons only had 3 colors, black, white, and gray.
That wasn't crayons, that was chalk.
I was teasing, Krysta. We've never lived in a black and white society, so we've never had just 3-color crayons.
Yeah, well, I knew that one. Number 3. There are more than 100 Crayola crayon colors.
Yes, much more.
Yes.
There's a lot of colors.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4. Crayons have one of the most recognized scents in the nation. They're at top 18.
Wow.
The very first 2 was number 1, peanut butter, and number 2, pretty sure they said eggs or something like that.
Cut grass.
No, it wasn't that.
Gotcha. And what fact are you on now?
3.
3?
Yeah, 3.
Okay.
No. 5.
You're on 5? Boy, this went quicker than I thought.
No, hold on. Okay, very last one. You ready?
I'm ready.
America's favorite crayon color is blue.
Just regular blue?
No, they included 6 other shades of blue. Now, I apologize if I say some of these wrong. I don't know what I'm... It concluded... It included... Am I saying that right?
Included, yes.
It included of... Curling?
Curlian?
Yeah.
Cerulean. Yeah, cerulean.
Cerulean, midnight blue, aquamarine, periwinkle, denim. I can't speak today, guys. Periwinkle, denim, and blizzard blue. And I'm sure you know that's how they made the giant crayon, the biggest crayon in the whole entire world.
Wow. No, I didn't, but that's awesome.
That is awesome.
They made a giant blue crayon.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but I do have to just get just a little more Crayola information in here. Just because, well, I like to color. So
It's mom time.
just to add just a little bit extra in there. So that first box of crayons that was sold for a nickel was 8 Crayola crayons. It was 1903, and the colors were black, brown, red, blue, purple, orange, and yellow, and green.
And no red.
I said red.
Oh,
Yeah, she did.
Awesome. So those are our colorful facts.
You're so cute.
It
Well-
was funny the first time.
It's like I used to say when I was younger. He may not be the brightest crayon in the box, but he sure is colorful.
Well, that's what we did. All right, perfect. And now that we've gotten the colorfulness out of the way, how about we get back to the dark and creepy?
Yes. And we're going to begin our dark and creepy with the elevator ritual.
Let's cover over this with the black light.
Okay. We have a black light?
Color!
Oh, okay. Well, so we're going to begin, as I said, with the elevator ritual. Now, I'm sorry. I don't want to begin with the elevator ritual. I'm going to hold that up. We're going to begin instead with the hooded man ritual. Now, here's the thing about the hooded man ritual. Basically, what you're doing is you're calling someone to come and give you a ride. But this someone may not be a real person. So you're going to need a corded phone. Cell phone won't work for this. Got to be corded.
Okay, that's good because now
That's out the window.
no one that listens to this podcast probably can do this now. So
That has been tossed out the window. Along with the bat that I was holding
no, that's not
two
true.
seconds
That's
ago.
not true. I actually do remember the last time we had a corded phone.
Oh yeah, wasn't that like sometime around like a few Christmases ago?
Yep.
We had one in Merced for you kids.
Yeah, so I could talk to Serenity.
Yep.
If you don't know who Serenity is, she's one of my friends from California.
Now, they say if you're going to do the Hooded Man ritual or the Hooded Man game, because it's called both, you need to perform a cleansing ritual first. Now, my own particular thoughts and advice, if what you are about to do is so creepy and dangerous that you have to perform a cleansing ritual and burn sage before you get going, it's probably a bad idea and you shouldn't go through with it.
Yeah, no.
Do the cleansing ritual, call it a night, order pizza, and be done.
That's right. Pizza's good stuff.
So, next thing you do is, once it gets dark, you shut all the doors, all the windows, draw all the curtains, turn off the lights, as well as all electronic devices.
Yeah, no.
You must not carry anything except a watch. Carrying anything of power or protection is prohibited in this game.
Wait, so you have to have a watch?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, not... Okay.
Well, you don't have to have a watch. Just a watch is all you can carry that has electronics. Now...
Just so you can see the time.
You count to the number 13 and you sit down before a corded telephone and then you dial a number. Now, I'm not going to give that number out because, frankly, I don't want anybody doing this.
Yeah, no.
But if you really insist on trying, it's all over the internet. All you got to do is look. But I will not be giving this information out.
Yeah, no, we do not want our listeners to get hurt and us to be blamed for it. Because we did warn you before we started this.
Now...
Darn it. I've been really funny this week for you guys who haven't known. But then today, while we're doing our episode, I'm just like, where did that go? All down the drain? Like, what?
You're fine, Krysta.
We still think you're funny.
No.
And you're awful cute.
Why, thank you.
You're going to tie a black cord onto the telephone's handset and then dial a different number. Once you have dialed that number, you're going to count to 13 and you're going to say, hello, I need a cab. Now, you untie the cord from the handset, tie a second one on the handset, and burn the first one immediately. Then you look outside. Supposedly, at this point, you will see a black taxi cab parked outside your home.
And where do these legends come from? Do we get to that point? Because...
I will discuss them where I have been able to find them.
Okay.
Now, when you see the black taxi cab parked outside your home, you're going to exit the building, but you're going to make sure you lock your doors behind you, and then you're going to take a seat in the back seat of the cab. When you get in the cab, you're going to be given a key. You lock that door with the key they give you, and you go to sleep. After you're going to wake up in a little while, you check your watch. If your watch reads any time other than 3:30, get out of the cab, go home, and end the ritual.
That's what I would do.
Which is probably the best advice so far.
Go home. Okay?
If your watch reads 3:30, go back to sleep. Now, when you wake up for the second time, you'll find the cab to be driving on a highway of another world with a paranormal man wearing a hood. Do not show any fear and do not attempt to get out of the cab while it's moving. End your ride as soon as possible by leaning close to the hooded man's ear and whisper the following words. I have reached my destination. Now go back to sleep one last time, and when you wake up, you will have returned to your home. And then once you're done with the ritual, you call yet another number and say thank you for the ride, and then you burn the second cord.
Good idea. I want to burn the whole thing.
If anybody else gets in the cab while you're on your ride, do not look at them, do not speak to them.
So I want to know where this comes from.
Well, I have some theories on that. Now, this one specifically, I honestly think, okay, I have said multiple times,
many times, many ways. But I've said that I think there are levels to reality. And I think this is a way that people get to one of those levels. Or people step into another world. Either way, the admonitions remind me strongly of like people that would go and visit the Fae. Or like old Chinese stories of people going to other worlds. That it was vitally important that you not talk to creatures that dwelt in those worlds because you could become trapped there.
Right.
So, and this one, as well as the elevator ritual, both come, as far as we know, from East Asian countries. So there's certainly some of that to it. Now, the elevator game, there may be even more than that, but we will discuss that later. Like I said, for me, though, the thing on this one is that it's dangerous. Now, I have heard in some, depending on what you read and where you read, the town you'll drive in will look a lot like your own, except for a giant red cross in the distance.
Gotcha.
Or a giant red X, depending on the literature you read, which is, we'll meet this again in another game, but that's only according to some stories. Other stories, it's completely different. It's an alien world. But I have found some stories from people who claim to have done this successfully.
Mm-hmm.
One person claimed that they no longer had any control in their life, that anything that they had tried to do ended in failure or disaster, that they see shadows that move on their own all the time, that anytime they look in the mirror, they see a tall figure like trying to hide, and if they stare at it for too long, it dissolves and you think you just imagined it, but it's always there every time you look in the mirror. And
so, like, you're telling me every time she cooks food, she, like, burns it or something? Or they?
I don't know. There's no details. I'm just saying that they say that everything they do ends up in disaster.
Oh. Oof.
And the person was afraid they were going to delete the entire story off of where it was posted against their will, which is another thing fairly common with these other world stories, is a certain sense of being taken over, a certain sense of no longer having control of your thoughts, your actions, your ideals.
Gotcha.
Be safe, kids.
Someone else who claimed to do it said that whenever they opened their window, they saw the hooded man just staring up at them, smiling, like he had the hood rolled up so that they could see the smile. And even when his hood wasn't rolled up, somehow they knew he was smiling. And that they'd close their eyes and sometimes he'd be gone at the end of it, sometimes he wouldn't. And like they made excuses to have friends come over and spend the night because they couldn't.
Why ask questions? Just, okay.
But that's the whole thing that goes back to the whole we don't mess with crap like that.
Right.
So that is the hooded man game. Now, it certainly seems to be tied to something called the elevator to another world. Now, if you are any bit interested in true crime or the paranormal, you've probably heard about the elevator to another world game, because Eliza Lamb, who disappeared, from the Cecil Hotel and was found in one of the water cisterns on top of the hotel, supposedly was playing the game. Supposedly. I don't know. We're not going to talk about it now. Elisa Lamb and the Cecil Hotel will probably be topics coming up, but if we're going to do the whole Elisa Lamb story, I would like to do it a little more prepared than I am right now. She was a real person. Her family, most of them are still alive. They do not need to have an endless army of weirdo podcasters injecting stories into what happened to their daughter. They know the truth. They lost her. And that's enough. And I feel for them. that puts a hole in your heart that there is no fixing.
Absolutely.
Right. You cannot lose someone and then have them back again. That is not how it works. If they're gone.
So, Elevator to Another World is yet another game to play that's supposed to take you to another world. You need a building that's at least 10 stories tall and has at least one elevator in it. Without those things, you cannot proceed.
Cool.
Now,
Don't.
there are differing opinions whether you can do it by yourself or with somebody. Whatever you decide to do, if you decide to play with two people, the same two people have to play the whole game the whole time. Otherwise, you have to start all over. If you're playing by yourself and someone you don't know gets on the elevator, like just a normal schmo, guess what? You have to start all over, which is going to make that difficult. Now, to begin the game, you get in the elevator from the first floor by yourself. This is one of the few times I will mention what floor you go to or you're on. Because again, I do not want to give enough information that someone could play the game just by listening to our podcast. People have disappeared and gotten injured playing this game.
Yeah, bad. No.
So, you get on the fourth floor. When you press the button to get to your next floor, when you get there, you don't get out. You press a button to go to a new floor. Then you go to that floor. You don't get out. You press the button for the next floor you need to go to. Now, if at any point someone gets on the elevator with you, at this point, got to start all over. Go back to the first floor, start all over. So, now you're going to from there, you're going to go to the fourth floor that you need to go to, not the fourth floor. And again, you're going to stay on the elevator at that point, and you're going to push a button for yet another floor. Now, at this point, people have reported hearing a voice calling to them. Do not respond. Don't respond. Do not.
Yes. Don't
do it. Just don't do it. Okay.
You don't need to question us about it. Just don't do it.
Now, again, when you get to this floor, you're not getting off. You're going to press the button for the fifth floor. And this time, I'm actually telling you the floor you're going to, the fifth floor. But there's a reason I'm telling you, because it becomes important. When you get to the fifth floor, some people have reported that a woman will get on the elevator on that floor. She's been described varying ways from hideous to beautiful. But whatever the case, she will try to engage with you. Do not engage with her. Do not speak to her. Do not look at her. Any of this would be bad. Do not acknowledge her in any way.
Okay.
Now you're going to press the button to go to the first floor. But if you've done it right, instead of going to the first floor, it's going to go up to the 10th floor. Welcome to the other world.
I see.
Now, if you are brave and want to step out and look out a window, you're going to see what looks like your town followed after some kind of disaster. And again, according to some people, you'll see a red cross or a red X in the distance. Now, as if you get off on the 10th floor, if you are brave and want to get off on the 10th floor, a couple things. One, it is said that the other world is disorienting, and it will leave you often confused. The elevator you took to get up is the same elevator you took to get back. So you got to remember that. Two, if the woman is on the elevator with you, she's going to try to get your attention at this point. Nothing she says is worthwhile. Don't engage, don't listen, don't talk, don't even look at her.
Just No.
Just do what you do. Take your looks outside the window. Go, ooh, and then go home. Now, according to some people, you'll be the only people there. According to other people, you won't be the only people there. Whatever
Some
the
people
case.
are even brave enough to do this at night, so nobody will go in the elevator while they're playing the game. I'm just like, no.
So, once you're done mucking about in the other world, which is a dangerous thing, don't go to other worlds. Never works out really well. Any story you read about other worlds, no, doesn't end well. You know, there's a story, and I can't remember who it's about, but there's a story of a knight who wound up in the lands of the Fae. And he was there for just a couple of years. Had a great time hanging out with the Fae. And then decided he had to go home. He had to go home and see his family. Well, 2 years in the world of the Fae was hundreds of years in our world. And when he went home, he took about 3 steps into our world and then fell over dead and became a skeleton and then dust because time caught up with him in a big way. So I wouldn't recommend mucking about in other worlds. It's not a good idea. It isn't.
Yeah, especially if 2 years in another world would have been 100 years, because then you would have come home and been like, wow, I'm so excited to see my... Oh, God.
So, you're going to basically do the steps in reverse. And this time when you go to the 5th floor and you go to 1, you're going to feel the elevator. If you've done it right, the elevator's supposed to rise like it's trying to go to the 10th floor. You have to stop it. Some people report feeling like they don't want to stop it. You have to stop it. You have to stop it and make it go down to 1. At that point, you should be back in our world, but you're definitely supposed to check. If anything looks or sounds out of place, you get to do the rituals all over again and then check it again.
Yeah, no, so the big part is don't do this.
The big part is don't do this. It's not a good idea. And I'll talk more about this here in a bit. But now, additional information on traveling. The other world has been described by travelers as a dark, but otherwise exactly like your own world. But it has also been described as looking like the aftermath of some kind of Holocaust. Again, people say that there's no one there. Again, people say that there are monsters there. So you get both. Electronics often don't work in the other world, but some people claim to have posted videos they've taken in the other world. So...
yeah, there are some videos on YouTube, but again, if you're a child or something, or like young enough to be listening to us, I would not recommend that. That would probably give you nightmares. So I'm not even gonna say to start shit up.
Now, you may become disoriented in the other world if you make it there. Be vigilant, pay attention to how you are feeling, and keep your wits about you. Also, if for whatever reason you pass out in the other world, you'll probably wake up in your home, but it may not be your home world. Check everything, make sure it's as it's supposed to be. If not, you're going to need to go and do the steps to get home.
Right.
Regarding the woman, don't speak to her, don't look at her, don't go back to see if she's still there. She is. Just leave her the hell alone. Now, this is where I'm going to add something to this that most people don't talk about. Although, the thing is that most people say that the elevator game got its start in Korea in 2008. But there's a lady online who writes a blog about the most dangerous games, which the elevator ritual certainly counts, that did some digging. And one of the things that she discovered was in 2006 in Japan, which is where the story appears to have started, although it's told differently, because it's told differently in Japan, because it ends with you getting to the other world. Because Japanese stories that's where they end. They end at a place like, we don't know what happens after this. It's a stylistic choice. It's how their stories tend to be told.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, but it worries me just enough that maybe there isn't a way back. And all this was just invented by some smart Korean kid.
Mm.
So,
Hi, everyone. This is Bowen Yang,
And Matt Rogers.
co-host of the podcast Las Culturistas. We're inviting you to treat yourself with the gift of pleasure.
Yes. And who better to help facilitate that pleasure gift than Trojan, America's #1 condom brand?
I love a pleasure gift from Trojan. And Trojan Ecstasy Ultra Ribbed has a unique design that actually lets you feel the pleasure and not the condom.
Now, explain this to me. Explain how this works. Elaborate.
Oh, I'd be happy to. So this condom has extra deep ribs at the base and end to increase stimulation. So you're both sure to experience ecstasy.
Dare I ask, does this condom have lubricant?
Does Taylor Swift write songs well?
I think
Yeah.
she does.
Yeah,
She's
I think
famously a
so.
songwriter. It's what gives her an edge over the other girls.
It has an ultra smooth premium lubricant inside and out for a more natural feel.
Now, tell me about the shape. I need to know about the shape.
You are a shape girl. The Trojan Ecstasy Ultra Ribbed Comfort Shape allows free movement for a more natural experience.
Well, I'm in. I'm sold. This condom is the past, present, and future.
Pick up some Trojan Ecstasy Ultra Ribbed condoms, triple tested and trusted for over 100 years.
Trojan, feel your best. Get yours on.
but one of the things that she discovered was in 2006, there was an elevator accident in Minato Ward in Japan. Now, effectively, what happened was some kids were getting on an elevator. The door was open. Without anybody pressing a button, the elevator just went up. And one of the kids got severely injured because he was in the doorway when it happened.
Mm-hmm. Spooky, all right.
But the thing is that when it happened, a lot of people reported that they had been on an elevator in that building or in a nearby building that did the same thing. They were just on, they hadn't pressed a button yet, and it just went up all on its own.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Now, and it was shortly after this that the elevator ritual game came out. And the author posited, and I think it's very possible, that what if someone played the game there? And what if the elevator is still trying to bring people to the other world? And that's why it started doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sure if you go digging into it, you'll find plenty of people who will just say it's an elevator accident. But this scarred Japan for years after. High school and college kids for years after would rather walk upstairs than take elevators.
Well, they do say that's better for you. I'm just saying.
It is.
I'd rather walk upstairs than take escalators.
Well, escalators, as far as I know, don't take you to other worlds. So, but, and again, this to me sounds like everything I've ever heard about the Fae or about being abducted, being taken someplace that you are an alien and that place was not created with you in mind.
Fair enough.
So we're talking about a dangerous activity. So that's why I didn't give all the information to play the game, because I really would rather you didn't.
For sure.
Right.
We definitely want to hold on to the listeners we have and the friends that we have because we cherish them.
Yes, we do. Now,
Even though how much of buttholes they are, because they don't want to smile.
Who are you talking about?
I cursed someone to smile.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember the... okay.
some of the people who claim to have done this, one person said her friend did it and came back with a picture of the destination floor, which was pitch black and had a reddish orange light that was in the photo.
That's not scary at all.
No, not even a little.
And he mentioned that the air was so stuffy and was rather difficult to breathe.
Wow.
That gentleman was later found asphyxiated, or not asphyxiated, but he had stopped breathing at some point. And the person who found them said that there was an orangish light in the room when they opened the door.
I see.
Well, it's kind of scary.
Now, someone else said that when they were playing the game, they came to the 5th floor and the door opened and there was a woman who was there but they weren't trying to look at, they just didn't think about it. And so when the door opened, they were face to face and they talked.
I see.
Now, it doesn't say what happened afterwards, but...
Well, it's kind of scary. Just left off with that part.
And then one of the persons that claimed to have did it was later found to have committed suicide.
Yeah, not worth it.
Not worth it. No, you guys have so much more life and meaning on this world than you do having to commit suicide. We love and respect every one of our listeners.
So, that's those 2 legends. We're going to cover some more here in a minute, but figured we'd take time to hear a word from our sponsors.
Yay!
Well, wasn't that interesting?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the next thing we're going to deal with is something called, and I'm going to get this wrong, and I apologize to any Japanese listeners we might have for doing so. The Hyaku Monogatari Keidenkai, which it roughly translates to a gathering of 100 supernatural tales. What you're going to need to play this game is 100 candles.
That's too many candles.
100 candles.
And apparently no smoke detectors.
Very nice.
I'm surprised your house hasn't caught on fire yet.
You need 100 candles. You're going to light them all. And anybody who's playing with you, you're going to tell ghost stories. And as each ghost story is finished, you blow out one of the candles.
You have to tell 100 ghost stories?
Did I not say that this is a gathering of 100 supernatural tales?
No, I don't think so.
I don't have that kind of dedication or time in my life, but go ahead.
I don't know 100.
Well, that ideally you're playing with other people. So each person tells a ghost story. Now, as near as I can tell, this dates back to the 1600s, and samurais used to do it as a point of bravery.
Okay.
But each person tells a ghost story, blows out a candle until they're all blown out. Now, supposedly, the last person to blow out the candle means the room there's no light at this point because you're playing it in the dark. So the last candle, once it blows out, is completely dark. At that point, there will be something dark that enters the room, and you are able to ask it a question and get an answer. Whoever blew out the last candle.
I see.
So if you ask, "Who are you?" that's the only question you're getting.
Yeah, but I don't think I'd want to know.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either, but some people might just be dumb enough to do that. Like, "Who are you?" Well, there's your answer.
My luck, he'd say, "Pleased to meet you, hope you guess my name." And then I'd go, "Ah, crap, I'm dead." Because then I know it's Satan.
Oh, great.
But anyway, now, that is actually one of the most popular myths I've thrown in this episode, in that it's been in, or variations of it have been in anime and live action Japanese shows. It's turned up in American shows here and there. It supposedly, like, it even a variation of it even turned up in one of the seasons of American Horror Story.
Uh-huh.
Now, this next thing I'm going to talk about is I did the research not online, but I did it in person when I was 16 or 17 or 18 or 19. When I was a kid, we played a game. We'll call it a ritual. You would sit around the table, whoever you got to play with you, and everybody would stare at the flame of a single burning candle. Now, some people insisted the candle had to be a specific color, red or black or white.
I have never seen no black candle.
You haven't? Really?
Yeah, no.
I guess I need to buy more black candles. Anyway, go ahead, dear.
And everybody would hold hands, kind of like a seance.
Mm-hmm.
But one at a time, you were just staring at the candle flame. That's all each person was doing at the same time. And then you would go around the room and tell people what you saw.
Interesting.
And we called it candle traveling. And most of the people that I played it with saw incredible things. And I remember the first time I played it was probably one of the first times I ever remember being absolutely scared, just bug mess silly scared. Because I remember just staring at the candle, and then the next thing I knew was one of the girls that had been, she was in tears. And she was trying to explain why she was in tears. And the thing she kept talking about was she saw a black cat. And for some reason, that black cat scared her. Scared her to the point of, like, you ever know when a small child gets really scared and they just refuse to be calmed or soothed?
Oh, yeah.
That was me in the nutcracker incident.
She was that way. And I don't know. I looked for more information about this online, and I honestly couldn't find it. And so I had to reach out and text people that I haven't spoken to in years. And the few things I've got back was, and it just may be one of those things that was an 80s thing, and maybe it's dead, but it was one of those things that I don't know what happens when you're doing it, but it is very creepy while it's going on.
Gotcha.
Now, one other thing we're going to talk about is the ritual of the Midnight Man.
I feel like I've heard this one too. I've heard almost all of these so far.
Yes. You have, Caitlin was talking about it. It's the one of the ones she was talking about.
So did you decide to do this after she told you about it, or?
I looked it up, and when I looked up the official version, it made more sense than what she had said.
Yeah, Caitlin sometimes has a way of explaining things her own way, and it's kind of like, wait a minute, what are you talking about?
So here's the thing. Essentially, what the Midnight Man does is, if it's to be believed,
yes,
it summons a demon or something equally as dark. And essentially, it hunts you through your house.
Fun.
Yeah. So here's how you play. And again, I'm going to leave out some details.
So you can't play.
But you're going to write your full name on a piece of paper. You're supposed to put at least one drop of your blood on the paper.
If you don't, you cannot play.
Then you turn off all the lights in the room you're doing this. You go to your wooden door, and it's got to be wood. Can't be plastic, but got to be wood. But go to your wooden door, place the paper with your name on it on the front of the door. Now you take out your candle and light it, and you knock on the door a lot. There's a specific number of times. I'm not telling you what number of times. A lot. No. You must do it exactly at 12 a.m. on the final knock. So dead on midnight for the last knock. At that point, you open the door, you blow out the candle, you close the door. You just allowed the Midnight Man to enter your home. You immediately relight your candle. This is where the game, if you want to call it that, begins. You must now wander around your dark house with only the lit candle in your hand. Your goal is to avoid the Midnight Man at all costs. How do you know the Midnight Man is close? Your candle will go out, and you have roughly 10 seconds to relight it. And if you can't relight it in 10 seconds, let's hope you have some salt, because You're supposed to spill that in a circle around yourself, and your whole idea is to stay alive till 3:33 in the morning and not get caught by the Midnight Man, because this isn't a game of tag. This is a game of apparently, I'm going to keep your head.
I see.
Or your soul. So don't do
And
this.
this is where we need to reevaluate our idea of the concept of a game.
Yeah, because this is not a very fun game.
Yeah. Well, rules are, don't turn on any lights during the midnight game. Don't use a flashlight. Do not go to sleep.
Yeah, no.
Do not attempt to use another person's blood on your name. Interesting thought, but no, don't do it. Don't use a lighter as a substitute for a candle. It won't work. Do not attempt to provoke the Midnight Man. And intriguingly, some of the stories I read said that once you play, the Midnight Man is watching you from there on. The rest of your life, this creepy thing is watching you.
You will always be watched no matter where you go. That's kind of scary. Stalker.
Yeah, stalker by something that doesn't live in your universe. Fun.
Wow.
Yeah, what a game concept.
Wow.
I'm surprised Parker Brothers hasn't picked up on that. Milton Bradley, eat your hearts out. Literally.
Ugh.
Sorry.
If at any point you feel a sudden drop in temperature, you see a humanoid figure that looks like it's made out of darkness, or hear a very soft whispering coming from an indiscernible source, if you experience any of those, leave the area you're in. Midnight Man's nearby.
Mm.
So those are also ways you can tell he's nearby.
I would say be smart,
Really.
don't play the game.
Yeah, no.
I would say that doesn't even sound like a game. It just sounds like...
Now, this one's not a legend, but it intrigued me and I had to include it. And this is where we're going to kind of wrap up as far as the different ideas we brought forth, or the different games we brought forth.
Right.
This is called blindmaiden.com.
Don't like that.
Yeah, you shouldn't. It's a website. And supposedly, if you try to go to blindmaiden.com, you'll get one of those messages about, hey, this domain isn't owned. Would you like to buy it? Blah, blah, blah. To access the website, you need to do a few things. Nobody else can be home. You have to be alone. You can't have a light on. In fact, the only thing electronic you can have on is the computer you're using to access the internet. And you have to do it at dead on, bang on, midnight.
Well, of course.
Now, having said that, don't do it. I don't know if there's any truth to this. I strongly doubt that there's any truth to this. But if there is, don't do it. Don't do it.
If there is any truth at all, just don't do it.
So, now, if you've done it right, what will come up is a thing that says, this website will take you to a new level of horror, a horror that will use all 5 of your senses. You must be very careful not to click on anything by accident. You will be faced by a real experience of absolute horror. Click to the accept to engage activity and experience.
I see.
And then it has a choice, accept or decline. Now, supposedly, if you click decline, you can scroll through the website as much as you want. Don't have to worry. That's what I would do. Click decline. That's the best advice right there. Click freaking decline. But if you choose accept,
For some dumb reason.
you will see on your monitor a silhouette walking someplace familiar. And you'll see that silhouette is going towards your home. And you will see it enter your house, enter rooms until it gets to the room you will in. On your monitor, you'll see your own back, and you'll feel a presence behind you. You'll feel a tap in your shoulder, and the last thing you'll see is the face of the blind maiden. After that, she will rip out your eyes and take a snapshot of your face so that you will be forever part of the website's picture gallery.
Yeah, just click decline. That's like really freaking scary.
And so that is our little story on internet legends. Now, I'm sure there's more, and I'm sure if I do some digging, we can probably do a part 2. At the very least, we can cover the Cecil Hotel. At some point, we will talk about the Cecil Hotel and Eliza Lamb and some of the things that I didn't want to deal with in this episode.
I didn't want to make it more dark than it already was.
But here's the thing on most of these. Now, candle traveling, if you want my honest opinion, candle traveling just puts you in your own head. If there's any of these that's safe, I would say candle traveling is the safest one. But
the safest one is for not you not to do anything.
Man, what traumas are in your life? Because really, really, candle traveling is just a way to introduce your own thoughts.
I can kind of see that almost being a low level kind of what do they call that?
Self-hypnosis, almost.
Self-hypnosis, or where you focus and
meditation.
Yes, like a kind of meditation. I can see that kind of being along those lines. You're almost, reaching into your inner self, listening to your inner voices. And for some people, that's a good thing. For some people, it's a very bad thing. So even something like that can definitely be scary in and of its own right.
Right. Candle traveling depends very much on what's in your head. And it also, just by my observations, depends very much on the imagination of the person doing it. I can tell you now that people I knew that weren't really bright didn't experience anything.
Right.
They thought it was boring. But people that really, dug down deep they came up with something, and most of the time it was kind of spooky. But honestly, it's just a way, if you want my honest opinion, of saying Om and opening yourself up to the universe.
Sure.
Yes, you're opening yourself up to darker forces, but these are at least firmly light gray. They're not black.
Maybe. Hopefully not.
Nobody I know died playing this game. Nobody I know was even long-term traumatized. The closest was the girl, and I don't know what the black cat was about, but it scared her to death.
I think at the end of the day, when you go dabbling in things that are maybe outside of what we can see, be it wherever you fall as far as your religious beliefs or your own personal beliefs, whether you believe these are games, or you're just bored and looking for something that might make you jump. When you reach out into the unknown, sometimes you're not quite sure what's going to reach back. And so you have to be careful with that. And you have to be secure in who you are and whatever your faith is that you trust in. And, you start messing with things that you're not sure what you're messing in. Sometimes you can get in a lot of trouble. And that was really the reason for everything that I said when we started this conversation.
Right. Now, Blind Maiden, I don't know how much I believe that one. And a big reason is because it wasn't, I didn't find it, not every mention of it was on an urban legend site. A lot of them were on creepypasta sites. Creepypasta was just another word for copy paste. So it may be somebody's idea of something funny that they wrote down. Sure. But I found enough backing it up on the urban legends. I felt like I should include it. But that one, Midnight Man, the Gathering of 100 Supernatural Tales, the Hooded Man, the Elevator Ritual, the things that struck me about those is they're ritualized.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they were created for the internet, which we know in one case it wasn't.
Right.
Because the elevator ritual was born after the elevator disaster in Japan.
Right.
So even if what we're dealing with is strictly is all made up by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think of the tulpas. Now, the tulpas is an Eastern idea. It comes from Buddhism, I believe. And basically, it's using thought energy to create something.
Right.
Now, it can be anything as simple as an apple to a life form.
Right.
And a couple of my favorite guys from Graveyard Tales, Matt and Adam, when they were talking about the tulpas, they brought up an idea. And it makes a certain amount of sense to me. And it's like Slender Man has been a thing on the internet for how many years?
Mm-hmm.
How much belief is being funneled into that idea?
Sure enough.
And you're beginning to have people say they're running into him in real life. So the elevator ritual, the hooded man ritual, the gathering of the 100 supernatural tales, the midnight man, these are ritualized things.
Right.
And rituals tend to put us in a certain mind frame. It's empowering our thoughts. And if you think about it, the human brain, supposedly, we only use about 6% of it. And I've heard numbers that range as little as 3% to as much as 10. So let's take the best, right? Let's say we use 10% of our brain.
What other 90% are we not using, and what could actually take place in that?
And so when we ritualize things like this, I think we're tapping in our own brain to find the power to summon this guy or to take you to these other places. But man, you don't know anything about the rituals or the people who created them or how they work.
Sure.
And rituals are one of those things that if you don't firmly believe in them and firmly have control over what you're doing,
mm-hmm. They can get out of hand very quickly.
Very quickly. And you can find yourself going from
playing a game
to being in a real life crap storm.
Nice. I like that.
Good save.
You in a hurry.
Exactly.
And so in the end, the reason I have left out many parts of the rituals is I don't want people attempting them.
Right.
Because whatever it is, even if it's completely made up, if it's completely made up, there's nothing for you to experience anyway.
Sure.
If it's not, then there's some danger associated with this, and there is nobody I know that deserves to be trapped in this creepy other world with things that, no matter what they look like, probably aren't human. And you may not, I mean, once you meet these things, what's the next step? I don't know. You don't know. Krysta doesn't know. Do you know, Krysta?
I don't know. What do you think I am? The next world's leader?
Okay. So we don't know. And if you compare it to alien abductions or trips to the worlds of the Fae back in the Middle Ages, it's all very similar, but it's all very dangerous. And I just wouldn't want anybody to make these trips, whether they're real or not, without being fully informed.
It really doesn't matter if they're real or not. You shouldn't be doing them anyway.
And fully prepared. And without more information than we have, there's no way to be fully informed and fully prepared.
True enough.
People don't even agree that you go to the same world with the hooded man and the elevator ritual. So,
but what do you do? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Now, so it's time to say our goodbyes. Ba-doo-ba-da-boo. Good night, sweetheart.
Hey.
Well, oh, yeah, that's right. I don't want to pay the price for that. So,
yes, exactly.
I need to say thank you to Bill Barrett, the guy that does our theme music. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks to Aaron Gnerk of the Big Dumb Fun Show that had us on a couple weeks ago. Thank you, Aaron. Thanks, BDFS. Thanks, Slutterbell the Every Fairy, because she was the guest host in that show. So, yes, thanks to all of you for putting the word of the family plot out there.
Thanks for our podcast picture page.
Yep. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon page, and donate to Team Bunny or Team Podcast.
This bunny is not cheap to feed.
Nope.
No, she's expensive to feed. I'm the one who has to keep going and buying produce. Please, donate to Team Bunny.
Or Team Podcast, you know.
Or Team
Team Podcast isn't exactly cheap either.
Now, you can also donate to us on Buy Me a Coffee. It's just $5, but we will split every donation between the bunny and the podcast. So there you go. You can also get merchandise. Now, currently, we are still on Design by Humans, but we are getting ready to move to TeePublic.
I love TeePublic. They have some amazing things on there already, even if it's not Family Plot. So, I mean, TeePublic is just awesome in general.
Did they, recommend you to go there, or?
Someone in one of the groups we belong to on Twitter was talking about different places that do merch, and a lot of people had high praise for TeePublic, so I got to looking at it, and I liked it a lot myself. So,
awesome.
Because Designed by Humans makes me redo our inventory every other week, I thought I'd...
no offense, we're sure Designed by Humans is great, but we don't have that kind of... Dean doesn't have that kind of...
patience. I don't have that kind of patience.
He definitely doesn't have that kind of patience, for real.
You can also follow us on Instagram. We are plot_family. You can find Krysta on Twitter at @Crystalline. Laura is anti-Twitter at this point.
I've got to work on my online presence, I guess, but the mom also is online with my real world job all the time, so Facebook is about the best I do. But Facebook, I'm on the Family Plot Facebook page there, so you can reach me there through that one.
Yep. Now, you can also reach us on Instagram, The Real Crystalline Williams, and of course, Boogeyman KC.
As you know, Dad said Instagram when he said plot_family, that was supposed to be Twitter.
Yes. Krista also has a YouTube channel, Random Reactor, where she has downloaded. Well, she has one video, and she's creating a second. Or did you ever get that?
I have already got that done. That was easy to do. Yeah. So if you want to see my sister's cat freaking out because of catnip, go ahead and go on the channel.
Catch us at our upcoming live show with the Branch podcast. That'll be probably March or April, maybe a little later. It just depends on all this really COVID garbage. Not that I'm, hey, it's been cool not to have to go anyplace, but I'm ready to have a steak or something. I'm just saying.
I'm ready to go out in a restaurant.
So, yes, and then join us next week for our very special show on Vlad Tepes, the legend behind Dracula and the castles connected to the legend.
Oh, that's a loving Valentine's show. That's I guess vampires and beating hearts. Sure, we can go with that.
That's not Valentine's. It'll be our first podcast of February.
Oh, okay.
But no, our Valentine's show will be supernatural love stories.
Oh, I see.
Nice.
So, give me some credit for knowing what I do.
Oh, okay, you're right. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
So that's our show. And hey, feel free to share your thoughts with us. If you think all of this is...
Or if you have had any experience.
Or if you have had any experiences. But if you think this is all just made up internet garbage, tell us. If you know someone who's had an experience, tell us. We're happy to find out.
We also do not bite.
No, never once bitten. Well, Krysta when she was very young, and when I was 5, I think I bit my grandmother on the butt. But no one since. And since that was 40 plus years ago, I think you're probably safe.
I'm definitely safe. I didn't know I bit people. Like, if you try to play fight with me, though, I may accidentally scar you.
Okay.
Because I have nails. But I don't think that's gonna happen. The only person who does that with me is Caitlin, and she's just like that.
So that's our show. Thank you very much from Dean, the dad.
Crystalline, the daughter.
And Laura, the mom.
Thanks for visiting us here in the Family Plot. We'll see you again.
If you would like your show featured, reach out to us at Indie Drop-In on all social media or go to indiedropin.com.
Finding the right person for the job isn't easy. Just ask someone who hired a lounge singer to be their office receptionist.
Hello, this is Mickey Marquis, and you've reached the office of Doug & Associates. Thank you very much. Catch me Tuesday nights at the Hotel Johnson. Hello?
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
Doug & Associates, this is Mickey Marquis. Hello?
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
Emma, what are you researching now?
Birthday gifts. Safa has the best mattresses in every category. So how about one for everybody?
Mattresses?
A customizable Air for mom and dad who can't agree on firmness. A 5-pound memory foam for your sister's college all-nighters. An all-natural latex for your yoga teacher. A Safa Youth for my growing nephews.
And a classic inner spring for us.
I got you a tie. Get $200 off your purchase of $1,000 or more at safa.com/200.